Kim Rittberg, ladies and gentlemen. She's here on the Mom Curious podcast. I'm Daniela Rabbani, as you know. Hello. Kim, you are sort of the master of bragging without being an asshole. So if you could introduce yourself, I would love that because you have a lot to brag about, and I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Please and thank you.
Thank you for saying that I don't sound like an asshole when I brag.
You sound great. In fact, you've written a few articles about how you can, brag without sounding like an asshole. So you've really perfected this.
So I will give my bio, and I will also say when I was in high school, my mom would walk around with me and be like, has anyone met my high school daughter? She's the president of student government and a 3 varsity athlete, and she's going to Penn.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was really embarrassing. Like it was like next level embarrassing. But as I got older and I realized just different situations where you are somewhere and you're either being underestimated or dismissed or just no one knows who you are because they don't know who you are. I'm like, oh, where's my pro bono publicist mom? You know? And so
she's you now.
Oh, she's me.
But that's like the power of a mother, right? Like
you don't get your mom next to you. So
you don't have your mom next to you, but you have her like in your brain for the rest of your life.
Yes. And now I will tell the audience about who I am and what I do. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
I'm Kim Rittberg. I help professionals become thought leaders through content. So that means if you have a brand or a personal brand, how you grow your leads and your clients through video, through podcasts, through better messaging, being more confident on camera. So I do everything from training you to be more confident on camera to helping you with your video strategy, to actually helping you make the video or the podcast. And I know how to do this because I spent 10 years in TV. I launched the first ever video unit for Us Weekly magazine. And as it led up to its $100 million sale, of which I and my unit were really important, and I got nothing out of it. And
not nothing. You got a salary out of it, but you didn't get any millions. I'm assuming.
0 million.
0 million.
And I got 0 raise.
Oh,
but
wow.
But I got to keep my job.
Okay, great.
And get a slightly better title.
Okay. And you do have that Us Weekly logo on your website now. So there's that, I guess.
Yes. And but
you have the story.
This all happened. The acquisition happened when I was pregnant. And so I was in the hospital, like basically all my peers, all of my boss who I loved, my peers, they were all fired. I had a 2-year-old and I was pregnant with my second.
Oh, wow.
And everyone on my team was quitting. And I was like, why am I like working in the labor and delivery room? Like this is not the person I want to be.
Right.
But I loved what I did. I mean, I feel so lucky to have had that experience. We had an amazing team. I was like, Mama got to find a new path.
Literal mama.
Mama got to find a new path. And it was just this realization of I am like a caricature of a working mom, literally on her iPhone with an IV drip in my arm.
Having this epiphany, like it really happened at that moment.
I was so, it felt so pointless. And I had worked, media is notoriously like grueling and competitive. And so if you've kind of like, I was a digital media executive leading a 17-person team.
Wow.
It's a lot of work to get there. And I loved it. Like I loved so many jobs I had in TV and in digital. I worked at like Inside Edition and Fox and Us Weekly and then Netflix and Pop Sugar. It's such a fun career, but like,
is that pointless. Wait, do you know my cousin Roya? Yes, I think you do.
We do.
Because I also worked at Pop Sugar, like just like as a talent.
I was like, I don't know your cousin. Oh yeah, I do. Roya. Hi, Roya.
Hi, Roy. She's the best.
She's the best.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
Okay.
But so anyway, that made me launch my own business, and then now I have my own business, and here I am.
How's that going?
It's going amazing.
Really?
It is.
How long has it been? It's been since 2017?
Yeah,
so it's been a few years.
Yeah, so I launched it like right before COVID. So I had that hospital epiphany. Still took me 2 more years to launch my business.
I want to pause for a second and just say that that's how it goes. I'm sure that there are people listening who are moms to be or moms in the corporate environment who want to transition. They probably hear a lot of the people who come on have these sort of flexible jobs, these entrepreneurial jobs, or these stories that where they can be with their children more. I feel like a lot of people are in the position that you were in 2 years before you actually could leave. So what happened in those 2 years? I feel like that we need to flesh that out so that people understand.
Yeah. So I started thinking, okay, do I want to be a stay-at-home parent? Do I want to run my own business? Do I want to freelance, which is slightly different? Do I want to be a consultant, which is also slightly different from freelancing? It just depends how you phrase it. They're all kind of different.
Can you tell me what the differences are?
Yeah. So I think that when you freelance, you're basically, you can say yes and no to jobs, but you're kind of like on a job. right? You're like, this is a job, a little gig I'm taking. A consultant, you might have like a longer project with one company. It might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, or it could be project based. So I took some consulting gigs where I was 3 days a week with like People Magazine, which was amazing. And so that was one of my first like jobs I got once I decided to work for myself. In the interim between having the hospital epiphany and really launching my business, I worked at 2 companies, like real company. I worked at Netflix and Pop Sugar, but I already knew I wanted to work for myself.
Like part-time?
No, full-time.
Oh my God.
Even though in my mind, I'm like, I don't really want to.
But these were stepping stones. You knew that they were stepping stones.
You know, I took Pop Sugar. I didn't have the confidence to launch my business yet.
I really want to underline that because that is
I had earned
a real experience.
I had earned like $4,000, maybe $7,000 in non-full-time work. So I was like, how can this be a business? Like I didn't see it financially being a business. And I was like, I don't really understand. Like, what would this mean if I worked for myself? My experience is writing and producing TV content, leading a digital video team, teaching people to be good on camera. But like, I really hadn't built a business plan or anything that would seem financially viable. So then, you know, I got recruited. I took a job at Pop Sugar that kind of was very short-lived. Then I was like, I'm starting my business. And I got recruited for Netflix.
Doing what?
Creative marketing.
Cool.
So video and photo projects for their series. And then I'm like
directing their stuff or writing their stuff?
Directing and producing marketing videos for them. So for example, Paul Rudd had Living With Yourself TV show. And I produced video-based marketing content, directing it, overseeing it, producing it. So writing and directing. And then
and even you didn't have the confidence.
That's what I tell people.
I just want to say, like, this is just like, this is what we're swimming in. Yeah. This is like a normal experience to be like highly skilled, Ivy League educated with a mom who's blowing smoke up your ass since the day you're born.
Yeah, since the day I was born.
And really being good at your job.
Yeah.
And still, it's hard to go off on your own, but it was worth it.
Oh my God, it was so worth it.
But you're super cute on camera, and I wasn't sure if you had done that before you went off on your own.
Another great question. I also lacked the confidence to actually go for on-camera roles. So I was a writer and producer.
Most people do.
Yeah. For national content. Like I was like a good writer and producer for news. It took me like 8 years to start seriously sending out my reel to get an on-camera role. And then I did some on-camera reporting, and I just realized it really wasn't for me. I just was like, I'd rather lead a huge team and like do the strategy and be in charge of everything rather than be on camera. And it's really competitive. I mean, you got to move to Kalamazoo for 4 years. You got to move to, Alabama for 5 years. Like it was not for me. So, but I also did some on-camera work at Us Weekly. I was the head of the video unit. Then there were some like after shows we did that I hosted, like The Bachelor and just like fun stuff like that. But I mostly was behind the scenes, but I did some on camera. And then as I launched my own business, I realized I really needed to step into Kim Rittberg. Like I had to tell people, you have a resume, and this is a big thing. If you're leaving corporate and you work for yourself, your resume and your network is great. But if you're only looking for corporate consulting gigs, that's fine. But if you're really looking to expand and get more clients outside of your network and word of mouth, you have to build your name for yourself. And I'm a huge advocate for friendly bragging, but I truly, like, after I launched my business, I did this one big project with a nonprofit called It Gets Better. And I was like, they're not going to pick me, but maybe they will. I don't know. They selected me and my production company to make this huge video series. We ended up winning all of these awards. And I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely what I'm meant to be doing. This is so amazing. And so now I am award winning. I always make sure to say that.
Oh, really?
I've
won so many awards and I never make a thing of it.
You should make a thing of it because here's how I think about bragging. So anyway, that's my award winning.
You know what's really interesting, by the way, we're, 10 minutes in and you've been bragging a lot and I feel great about it. Like actually it feels nice to be in the presence of someone who's accomplished.
Oh, thank you.
I think there's this idea that like women shouldn't be bragging because we should just like, not get too big for our britches. But the truth is it feels good to be around someone who feels good about themselves.
Oh, thank you.
Without it being like, I need to be better than anyone else. I'm just my best.
I try, you know what this has been something that I've been like trying to do over time is like be more real about these are the great things I've accomplished, but literally every quarter, I think I'm a fraud and I'm never going to get another client.
Right. Which is probably why you're good at teaching.
Yeah.
Because every person feels like they're a fraud because we're all new every day.
Yeah. And then, I think that it took a lot of that, like, thank you, Fran, my therapist, who I haven't seen in a while, but
we love you, Fran.
We love you, Fran. You're the best. I feel like when you say the word Fran, you have to be like, Fran.
Yeah.
Because Fran Drescher.
Fran Drescher and
just
also, I actually do know I do know a Frances who's not Jewish, and she's like so beautiful and the best, and I love her so much. But Fran does sound like a Fran.
And for anyone listening, we're doing it in sync. So like if you're hearing us at the same time in stereo, it's because we're both saying it.
Yeah, Fran.
Anyway, so Fran, my therapist, helped me with some like mindset work around things like that. And I also knew I wanted to be speaking more. So like I love teaching. Like I've been doing this video content TV for so long. I actually really like teaching. I guest lectured a little bit at Syracuse University.
They have a great media program.
They have an amazing media program. Yeah. And I just really liked it.
Too cold, but aside from that, very good.
The program was in New York City that I taught.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, God.
And I was like, I wanted to be on bigger stages. And then I started getting national speaking gigs last year. And so now I'm like on stages and teaching, and it's really fun because I do feel
you're the talent now.
Oh, thank you. But I think
that actually wasn't even a compliment.
I was like, oh, I am talent. I think the word talent always annoyed me.
I mean, you are talented, but talent, you are the.
I will say something that is like a little media insidery is like on call sheets when you're casting for TV or anything, they always call talent people who are on camera. And I think that's actually really rude because every single person who's making your thing is talent. So like all of these brilliant people like Johan and Marty, it's like they're talented. They're putting it together.
I think we should just give them a...
No, but I always hated it.
They are talent and they are talented.
I always hated the word talent.
Well, I also feel that way as a singer because everyone's a musician except for me. And it's like, I play.
Oh, you're a musician. Yeah.
Singers are musicians.
Absolutely. I don't even, who thinks that? Screw them.
Well, like the musician, well, yeah, like they're, anyway.
That was the crackling was my water bottle. But yeah, I mean, I think.
But that isn't it. So I guess for anyone who didn't know when I kept calling you talent, I wasn't calling you talented. Talent is like the usually
camera.
The on camera.
And so one thing that I think is very funny is like.
Or on voice.
I
was doing voiceovers, I'm also talent.
But I think the thing that's funny is the things that drive you that still like sit in your brain as things that you want can come around later. So like I had always felt like I'm really extroverted. I do like to communicate. I'm a writer and producer for content. I like to communicate. I didn't want to be an on-camera reporter. I didn't like that. That wasn't the medium that I was going to grow into. But I always kept in my mind like I like being with people. I like informing people. I like engaging with people. And so I have found that now I'm running this business where I'm actually coaching people. Like I'm teaching people how to make good video, how to make good podcasts, how to message better so people can see what's special about them to grow their business. And I find that that's a really cool and gratifying aspect of this is like life comes full circle. So like those things that you wanted to do that maybe you just didn't get around to or it wasn't the right time, like they kind of come back. And I think it's kind of amazing to me that in this era where I decided to work for myself, truly only so that I could not have this overwhelming, overworking, insanely heavy career, and I want to like be with my kids, that I'm building this business that I'm really enjoying.
Well, you are teaching what you most need to learn, which a lot of people, or most needed to learn, which a lot of people do. That's a life calling, right? Yeah. So you had those 2 years where you didn't know that you could be who you wanted to be. Yeah. And you're really bridging the gap for your students now also. Yeah. Can you tell me what was the moment where you were like, I'm going to do it? Once you were at Netflix for a year, was it?
Yeah. I mean, probably like several bouts where I was like crying in the bathroom, but
cute. I know nothing about crying.
Nothing.
Never been there. Never did that. So there's the cool.
Well, I think that I already knew I wanted to launch my own business, and I just sort of took 2 jobs because I just didn't have the confidence. And the second job, when I was like, the second this is done, I'm never taking a full-time job again, because I already knew I didn't want a full-time job. And I just did it because I was like, I'll do it because like it'll be good for my experience, good for my resume. And I will say some of the work that I did at Netflix was like the best work of my career. Just really high caliber, incredible talent. I got to work with Tina Fey. I got to work with Paul Rudd. I got to work with Valerie Ferris and John, I'm misforgetting their last names. Anyway, Little Miss Sunshine directors. All of these incredible people that I felt so lucky to work with, and I walked away with an amazing portfolio. So I didn't regret the experience.
And also, you like scratched that itch. You know, you did it. You did the thing.
I did the thing, and I met so many people. Like, you build your network of colleagues, really the best in the business. And so I am glad I did that experience, but I already knew I wanted to work for myself. So I was like, okay, I'm out, and that was right before COVID.
Oh, so you started fresh in COVID?
Yeah,
like
right
a lot
before.
of people did.
But it was funny. It was before. Oh my God. I didn't quit my job in COVID. I actually weirdly quit my job before COVID, which was serendipitous because I was able to bring on one client that then like basically took me through COVID.
Wow.
Which was crazy.
That is so cool.
Like lucky.
And how did you find that client?
I say to people, part-time work, and this is one of the things that I launched my own podcast. It's called The Exit Interview with Kim Rittberg. And I was fascinated by meeting all of these parents, especially, who were finding these part-time jobs, really good part-time jobs, like 3 days a week in the same field that they were in before, or 7 to 3 and like work from home Fridays. I was like, that sounds good. I just met all these people who had figured it out on their own. These are not jobs that are posted on job boards.
Where are they?
They are networked. They are through your network. You're meeting people who already know you, who are impressed by you, who refer you. And then you go in there and you're very certain and you say, this is amazing. I'm really excited to do this. I can only give you 3 days a week.
Wow.
And it's a yes or a no, but you have to be firm on it if that's really what you want.
I bet there are people who really want that, who are listening into this because, you know, there's nothing that changes you more than motherhood.
Yeah. And I also think, you know, I work with some of the people I work with that I help them build their brand. Some of them are consultants or they're coaches. And even if you're a consultant and you're looking for corporate clients, you have to be really clear in your like personal brand, your messaging. You can't be using LinkedIn to just like reshare press releases or like repost quotes from other people.
God. How do you use LinkedIn? I don't ever use LinkedIn.
I don't think you need to use
We're going to
LinkedIn.
get granular, guys. I actually said to Kim, I was like, listen, I actually really do need your expertise. So we have an hour and I'm going to use it for my own good. And everyone's going to listen and take notes for your good too. Okay, guys? So let's do this. How do you use LinkedIn? And by you, I mean me.
Yeah. I love it, sir. I will say someone like you.
I'm selfish. What can I tell you?
Maybe doesn't need to use LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, okay. I don't think that. Like, I don't necessarily think you need to use LinkedIn.
Who does?
If that's where your clients or the people you want to work with you are, that's where you should be.
Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram are my two main sources. I say sources of business. I mean, I'm only there because my potential clients are there and the people who want to hear from me are there. They're probably on other places too. I just don't have the bandwidth. You know, I repost to YouTube. So LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. I have a website with a blog and a podcast. So I'm on five places.
And I love the insight that you use, that you share, which is like use the same. What do you call it? Do you see how I fumble on business stuff?
Use the
like
same
I
content?
Use the same content. Oh. But do you see how I genuinely do not know? I can't even speak to business at all. Like I'm going to be a guest on your podcast and you're going to ask me about monies and I will be like, I don't know. I'm the talent.
Danielle's going to be like, I cracked open my piggy bank once and I went to the store.
Oh my God. Exactly. So, okay. So you use the same content for everything, but isn't that redundant and kind of like.
So I think broadly, I think of it like this. Okay. Whether you're trying to work 3 days a week or you're a coach or you're building your business, you think of the top level of like, who are you? What do you do? What makes you unique? And who are you talking to? So once you really lock that in.
Wait, say that slower so that maybe the person can find a pen.
Okay.
By the person, guys.
Daniela.
Me.
Danielle's like, Marty, write that down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Marty's our producer, as you guys already know, and we love her so much. Marty, write that down.
Okay, so first, you're like, oh my God, the X number of people I know are not enough to like sustain my business. I need to like find new clients or build or have a new job or get a part-time job. Start doing that work of who are you? Meaning, literally, what do you do? What is unique about you? And that can be anything from like specific wins at your jobs or with your clients, accolades, degrees, certifications, if you've been published in different outlets. And then start thinking about where are those people that you want to attract? And that's like the beginnings of building that. I hate using the word personal brand, but building that brand, whether it's a personal brand or literally a company, just really saying, A, what do I want out of all of this? And also, like, don't apologize and stop posting photos of your dog. Because I think that there's no time in life at all. And your phone is like a silent moneymaker.
Oh.
If you know how to leverage your phone, you can get clients, you can get jobs. But if you're only using social media like for fun and to share pictures of your dog or your cooking hobby, that's fine. But if you want to find a new part-time job, you want to get clients, you want to build a business, or you want to build just something that's impactful, that's there's so much opportunity on social media, and your phone literally is a moneymaker machine. And if you're not leveraging it, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. I can't believe, I feel so freaking lucky. Last year, I earned the same that I earned as an executive in media because I stopped being like, oh my God, who wants to hear from me? Nobody wants to hear from Kim Rittberg. Why would I be on camera? What am I going to talk about? I literally said those things, even though I'm trained to be on camera. I teach content, something that everybody wants to learn. I was like, nobody wants to hear from me. I stopped thinking like that. I just was like, my desire outweighed my fear.
Wow.
My desire to build this career that works for my family outweighed my fear of judgment. And I was like, this is stupid. I'm going to stop.
And you have a lot to share. Like,
thank you. But yeah, I do, but you don't, we're all in our own heads. So even though I do have so much to share, when I first got on like social media and launched my podcast, I was like, who wants to hear from me?
Well, do you work with a coach? Or did you sort of coach yourself? Did you have your mom in your ear like, Kim is amazing. She can do anything.
So my mom is not like a Brooklyn Mama Babushka.
She's not.
She's like a poet. She's like a petite like poet and lawyer. Anyway, but she's a whole other thing. She should be a guest. But I have been on and off with a therapist for a long time.
Fran, we've discussed.
I have my mom and, well, my dad who passed away. But my mom and dad have always been like, you're the best. But who helped me with the negative voices? Oh, my husband's like, of course you can do everything. You're amazing. But he's such a pragmatist. So he'll be like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen with that thing? And I'll be like, that's not encouraging. And
well, the video thing is like, I would just be really embarrassed. And then I could take it down.
Right. But he'll say it in a way, he's such a pragmatist. And then I'm like, actually, that made me kind of scared of doing that thing. I don't really remember the exact thing of like, it was a mix of like therapy, my mom, but
desire?
Then it really was the desire. I'll be honest. It was like, I was envisioning me picking up my kid, them giving me a huge hug and being so thrilled that I was there to get them from school. And I was like, am I not going to live that life because I'm too afraid to show up on Instagram? Like, that's not the life I want.
And also you have like all this music in you. We talk about like not dying with your music in you, right? Like that's the saying. Like you have all this knowledge in you. If you're not going to share it, where does it go?
Yeah. And I think it's so, it's like, you know, selfish, unselfish. Like I want it to work for myself because I want it for my family. But then it became this unselfish thing where I started coaching people and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like helping these people. This is so cool. And I actually put one of my New Year's resolutions was I'm only going to work on things that have impact or ownership. Everything else gets a no.
Oh, I love that. What do you mean by impact or ownership?
So impact meaning helping people. And that was the year I did these huge projects for the LGBTQ plus nonprofit called It Gets Better. So that was huge impact. And those were like those were the video series I won awards for. That was impact. And ownership is putting my voice out there. So I'd been behind the scenes for media for so long. And I did a good job if I was a good puppeteer to an anchor's voice. And I was like, no, I got to put my voice out there. I got to be a part of the conversation in a way that feels real to me. And I started saying, I won't say yes to a project that doesn't have impact or ownership.
How do you get all this great talent on your podcast?
The same way you do. You know, everyone you know, connect with, you make your list of who would I love to connect with. Are there people who could get me there? And remaining open, because some of the cool people have been pitched to me from a publicist.
Great.
And I'm like, oh, that person's really cool, but I would never have thought to ask them. So it's a mix.
Or know
outbound,
them.
Inbound. Yeah. Outbound pitches, inbound pitches, networking. Yeah.
You talk so much about networking, but what does that look like to you? I know that you go to summits and you do a bunch of speaking gigs, and can you share a little bit about that? Because I know that there's probably a bunch of moms or moms-to-be women who are considering, going off on their own, but they already go to a job where they're with people all the time. Where do you go to be with people? You're so extroverted, and that really is where you get your business from.
Yeah, I think that I hate networking because when you think of networking, you think of like sweaty cheese and lukewarm wine and gray carpeting and maybe mahogany, like some mahogany bar. I think one thing that was a big shift for me is I forced myself to join networking groups. And that was like, I don't want to like, sit on some message board with other people. And like, I don't want to go to like an awkward mingle. But what I did was like, I connected with people who I already liked who were in the space that I was like, what are you doing? What group are you in? What group should I consider? I joined some networking groups. Every time I speak, I do make either like clients or contacts or, just
beautiful,
just new mutual cheerleaders. Like if I meet you at a summit and I liked you and you like me, we'll just cheer each other on LinkedIn,
oh my
or
God,
Instagram,
LinkedIn
or Instagram,
you guys,
or Instagram guys.
Write that down, buddy. LinkedIn.
What is this voice I keep doing?
Danielle has hives on her arm because I said LinkedIn twice.
LinkedIn. Oh my God.
I said I said the word salary and I said LinkedIn twice. She's itching, guys. She's itching.
Oh my God. It's not true.
It's like not true. No, I think of like, I just hate the word networking, and I think that I only do well when I'm just turned on and enjoying myself. And I actually hate if someone says go to this event and I'm like, ugh. But then if someone I like invites me to this event with an interesting topic, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to those people. So I think it's just how you frame it in your mind. If you think of it as networking, it sucks. If you think of it as meeting interesting people that you might connect with, it's fine. But be intentional. So still be intentional. Have your pitch. Have your who you are.
Oh my God. What is a pitch?
Your pitch is the thing I said earlier. Hey, everyone, I'm Kim Rittberg. I help professionals become thought leaders through video and podcasts.
Right.
I'll help you be more confident on camera. I help you message better and help you grow your leads and clients through content.
Okay. You emailed me that actually. You emailed me a beautiful pitch. Do you do that to other news outlets? Is that how, can we talk about getting the word out there? Let's say one of us, let's just say, hypothetically, Marty, me, let's just say
the one of us who can sing and who has really cute little bangs.
Let's just say that person was Daniela Rabbani, wanted to get press. How do we craft a beautiful pitch like that? What does that look like? What would the formula be?
Great. And this is something that I teach my clients. So I have a program, like a private program, that I call Thought Leadership Through Content. And everything starts with understanding who you are and what's unique about you, turning that into a really digestible pitch. And this is what I'm like, I'm weirdly good at this.
And it is. You are really good at it.
I'm weirdly good at this.
Yeah.
I worked in news for so long. People would give me 3 pages and I'd be like, here's your 1 paragraph. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. No one's gonna go to the bathroom and Google you at a party. B, they're gonna zone out if you explain too much of your background. And C, you might be perfectly aligned. Maybe you're like a great match for each other to work with or to be friends with or whatever. But because your pitch is like too weighed down, they didn't get to that. So you really want to pitch this clear. So if you're looking for a job or you're looking for clients, you want them to see like, oh, Kim Rittberg is exactly who can help me. And she has such an amazing deep laugh. I love her.
She does have a deep laugh.
I love a deep laugh.
Very nice.
But you want them to like realize how they can work with you.
Okay. So give me the
it
formula.
Also the pitch. Well, the ABC, accomplishments, business, and confidence and creative. So accomplishments, it always has to include what you've done that's special. So everyone's like, I'm a health coach, or I'm an accountant, or I'm a this or that, or an actor, or a singer, or anything. What makes you different from that other singer, right? So I had a jewelry business when I was in my 20s. Of course I did, because it's New York City. You have a side hustle, or your main hustle has a main hustle and a side hustle. While I was in media, I started my jewelry business first. I always loved art. And I started selling it like in boutiques. And then I applied and got into Henry Bendel. An open call for designers. And so I would do trunk shows at Henry Bendel. And eventually I would do them at Bloomingdale's. And I remember one time I told someone I made jewelry. And they said, oh, so does my grandma. said, oh, does your grandma also sell in Bloomingdale's? No, but I'm not that obnoxious. But I do think
just that one time.
Just that one time. I do think it's important though that like I know so many amazing women, like smart, successful, impressive, hardworking. But if you are like, oh, like, you know, I'm an accountant, I'm like, you're more than an accountant. Like you've done all these cool things. Or like I hear people do it. I
do it all the time. I expect it's so interesting. We're going to make this about me for a second. Brace yourselves. I expect people to know who I am, not because I'm famous, but because like that's a dumb thing that I have in my head where I'm like, I just expect you to know or to Google because I talk about myself all the time.
Right.
On the podcast, on my social media. I'm just like, I got a website. It's just like, it feels like I'm like a marketing machine about myself that when I meet you, I'm just like, oh, I'm an actor. And I shrug my shoulders and I like, you know, get a glass of water and call it a day. It's refreshing actually to hear you say like, no one knows who the fuck you are. And they don't have to. You got to tell them.
Yeah. I think that no one's going to go to the bathroom and Google you.
I honestly, I needed you to repeat that because I didn't actually know.
Yeah.
No, because.
Yeah. And I really mean this. And it's not in a mean way because sometimes when I say everyone
should
brag.
That.
And by the way, thank you for saying that I don't sound like an asshole when I brag. I think sometimes maybe I do, but I think the benefit outweighs the risk.
Kim, I actually really mean that. You do not.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, you do not. And I think that the rest of us need to take a page out of your book.
I think especially when we're talking about women. That's what I want to be real. I think that like someone recently, I was interviewing a man and he was like, oh, you really think like people should brag? It's okay to brag? And I'm like, maybe it's different because you're a man, but like, no, I think women need to brag more. Everyone I know who's a woman does not brag enough and they're amazing and they don't showcase it enough. And I think the other thing is it's not even also about bragging. It's also about letting someone know.
Clarity.
What you do.
No, it's just clarity.
Yeah.
It's like I'm an award-winning film director.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't know that unless I said it.
Yeah.
Why would you know that?
And maybe I'm funding a film. I'm looking for a film to fund. Or maybe my friend runs a film festival. And I think it's sometimes.
Maybe you like films.
Nah.
Like, you know what? Most people do.
Yeah,
which is like, you know, just like a conversation starter.
Yeah. And I think people think of it as having this like, oh my God, you're so self-centered, blah, blah. Truly think of it as a data point. These are things I've done. And I do some of the bragging I do is like not just a data point. I like to let people know that like I've worked really goddamn hard for a really long time and I'm good at what I do. And so if that can benefit you, we could talk.
But also it creates trust, right?
Yeah.
So people trust you that like if you're going to direct them in an on-camera course.
Yes.
That like genuinely you've worked with Paul Rudd and, you know, Pop Sugar and Us Weekly and these are data points so that you feel comfortable that you're in good hands. I'm not giving you poor advice. You were telling us about the ABCs of a press release.
Oh, yeah, the ABCs of a pitch. So ABC of a pitch, accomplishments. So give me one of your accomplishments. We're going to do the pitch with you right now. Oh my God. Okay, give me an accomplishment.
Wow, why do they make me so uncomfortable? Data point on that. That's for Fran. Okay. Okay. You want to know about me? Mm-hmm. I'm an award-winning filmmaker.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. Now, A is accomplishments. B is business. What exactly do you do? What are the titles that you do?
I host a podcast called Mom Curious, and I am an actor. I've been on television many times, movies and off-Broadway with critically acclaimed, won some awards, some festivals.
What awards? Talk about those awards.
Oh my God, this is awful, you guys.
Normally I wouldn't, by the way. This is stuff I would do not like on recording because obviously it's skin crawling.
This is
you got to do it in the privacy of your own room.
It is skin crawling for other people besides me.
Oh, everyone hates it.
Okay, so we are doing a mini session for the world to hear.
Okay, so now I feel bad.
No, you don't have to feel bad. It's okay. Okay, so I've won awards for my film Oma as the director and as the actress.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. You can see it on Amazon.
So you're an award-winning filmmaker and actor because you won for acting and filmmaker.
Filmmaker and actor.
What's the award?
Yeah. I actually don't even remember the award. It's like somewhere. It's like somewhere. I have like the statue in my bookshelf.
We'll look it up.
Anyway, so there's that. And I sing in Yiddish. I've sung all over the world, actually. And I've headlined at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And I should tell you, the networks I've been on, I've been the voice of Colgate and The Nook. And I've had recurring roles on CBS. And I've been on HBO. And
okay, how does this sound? How does this sound?
Yeah, oh my God, help me.
First of all,
please God, this is so crazy.
At Lincoln Center, amazing.
Oh,
the voice of Colgate, amazing.
Also Town Hall, and lots of places.
Award-winning director.
And Poland, lots of nice places.
Amazing.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so if I had like a pen, I would write this down. But I would start. So now we have the accomplishments, which was wound
oh my God, the bragging.
B, which is
okay.
Great.
Now everyone knows what a seasoned bragger sounds like, which is not skin crawling. Actually, it's a nice feeling. And if you don't have as much practice, it's really uncomfortable.
Super uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I forgot to say
don't be me in this situation.
Well, and I forgot to say that at the beginning of my career, I was a TV journalist for like 9 years. I received thousands of pitches. So both written, like emailed in, but also in person at these like seminars that I would participate in. But people would pitch on email and in person. And I really knew what would get someone's attention. And that's how I've crafted this ABC of pitching, is that you have to say it with confidence. So obviously I'm putting you on the spot, so you're not going to feel confident saying it. That's fine. But B, business is like, be clear. Now that I know, okay, she's an actor, she's a singer and a director, and she does Yiddish. Oh my God, actually, I should connect her with so-and-so who works at the this and that film festival. You know what I mean? Like, it also helps people who want to help you connect. Yeah. It helps people.
Oh yeah, because most people want, I love being a connector. Yeah. I love being like, oh my gosh, Kim, you should meet my executive producer, Laura. She has this incredible studio.
Yes.
Why don't you film out of here?
Right. And so once you've now told me that, I can hire you. I can refer you. I can just be like, wow, I'm really impressed by Daniela. You know, so I think that when you think about it, it's about letting people know what you do, just factually. But also, like, we've all done cool stuff. And I think us women, we don't own it enough. And like, I mentioned this earlier, but like, my mom used to brag about me and it used to be really embarrassing. And now that I'm older, I wish she were there bragging about me. Yeah. No bragging mom is standing next to you when you're meeting clients.
Unless me. It's me. Yeah. I am that person who's always like, oh my God, you guys, Kim Rittberg is here.
No, I love her.
She's so good.
She'd be my +1 everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm like such an advocate for it, because I think that when you really are like, what do I want out of life? And if what I want out of life, I'm not getting it, and you're like, how do I get it? How do I do that? Well, then, like, what are you good at? What do you love? And then let people know that. And I think so much of this is about messaging. It's about communication. It's about confidence. And so I help people make videos, come up with ideas for videos, make podcasts, come up with what is the podcast. But it's also like, what makes you you? What drives you? And what do you want to do more of? And once you own that and you start letting people know that in like this great way, it's like infectious. I'm like, Daniela's amazing. Like, she's so talented. She's so warm and she's so lovely that, like, I remember when we connected, I came home, I'm like, told my husband, I'm like, oh my God, this lady Daniela, we ran into each other on the subway. She's so great. And then, we've gotten to know each other more over the past year. And it makes me want to knowing more about you, and then also knowing your accomplishments and knowing like the specific things. I'm like, now I'm thinking of like, who else can I introduce Daniela to? Because I already like you. Yeah. And I want to support you. So I think sometimes people think of it in the wrong way, that like you're bragging just for you. No, sometimes you're helping people help you that they want to anyway.
Yeah. And they're helping you, live that life and pick up the kids when they want to pick up the kids.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet. It makes the whole world a better place when we get to like all be happy and rise up together. Yeah. Back to your press release. Tell us more about the pitch. Yeah. ABC.
I just took my kid to a basketball class right after school yesterday.
So cute.
And I moved all my meetings around because none doesn't matter. It's okay.
Oh, it's a nice feeling. Yeah, I like being with my kids.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I don't have to be them, and also I don't have to be with them all the time to still be like, wow, I got the right amount of time with my kids this week. Amazing. Like, I like to pick them up twice a week from school at least.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that you know that and you make your schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, I do one long day. I do one long day when they're going to religious school anyway. And so I'm like, oh, I don't want to like leave my day for 1 hour of schlepping. Like, I'm just like, no, that's my long work day. And the other days are like more flexible. And
I love that.
Yeah, I try to carve out 2 afternoons, and sometimes it's 3, but it just depends.
Which you couldn't do before.
I could never do that before. I had one time when I worked at Netflix, I traveled to Vancouver for 19 hours.
Ow.
And a red eye. It was horrible. Not that the job was horrible, but just you want to get back to your kids. And there's not that flexibility. And, you know, you're responsible for, you have a lot of stakeholders. And
how did your brain even work?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I guess it's
coffee.
Coffee. Yeah.
Coffee.
Okay. Did we go through the ABC of the pitch?
A, accomplishment. B, business. So what do you do? What you got in there? And then C, confidence and creative. So hi, I'm Daniela Rabbani.
Oh, nice to meet you, Daniela.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Daniela Rabbani.
Oh, you want me to say that?
I am an award-winning filmmaker and actor.
Yeah.
And then you can also, when you brag, you can also be fun about it. You might have heard my voice on Colgate, The Nook. Like you can also have fun when you're bragging. And then you're just like, yeah, I travel a lot for work. I've headlined in Vienna, at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And then you can like, at the end I say creative. You can drop in a fun fact about you if you want. Oh. You're already like, your job's so interesting. You don't necessarily need a fun fact. But if you have a more like kind of job that people aren't like, woo, you
marketing,
know, like accounting or whatever, marketing, you could be like, and what I'm trying to think fun. And I do weightlifting for fun.
Oh.
Like, whoa. Like those are real things for my clients. Like one person's like, I'm a black belt in karate. I do weightlifting for fun. I speak 4 languages, things like that. And so you're already bringing them into your professional stuff, but then you're like starting a conversation. So if that's like a wine and cheese event, it's a, you know, it can be worked in, but you have to adjust it. Obviously, sometimes you're not going to spit your pitch at someone, but I do think when someone says, what
please
do
don't.
You do?
Please don't spit your pitch at anyone with your sweaty cheese and your wine and mahogany background.
Bar.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, you know, but when someone says, what do you do? Don't say, I'm an accountant. Say, I'm an accountant for small business owners. I've been featured in Forbes. It's really fun for me. I also love films from Lithuania.
Great.
That's
me
a
too.
Fun fact.
Who doesn't?
But, you know, I think that there's just like ways to have your statement. Someone understands what you do, what sort of level you're working with, some of your accomplishments, and then make it a little fun.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you send all that to podcasts?
Yeah. So this sort of pitch is like in person with somebody. It can be in a pitch to a podcast. It could be in a pitch to, you know, if you want to speak somewhere, if you want to speak at someone's like seminar, webinar, like event. And then I would also put in, here's some topics I talk on. And then you can list out 4 bullet points. Very clear.
I saw that.
One line, just a header or like one sentence so that they really understand what you're going to show up and teach and talk about.
Mm-hmm. I always hesitate because I'm always like, I don't have a big enough following or audience or whatever, right? So we all think this, right? And I'm assuming that there are people listening who maybe are transitioning from a pretty private life where they're posting things about their dog and their food. What happens when you don't have a huge following? How do you either grow it or say, F that, I bet there's a paying client in this 500 following pool?
I have clients making multiple 6 figures with a few hundred followers.
No, I want to hear everything about that now. I want you to take the floor and tell me all about that.
Yeah. It just depends on what you're selling.
Oh my God.
And so if you think, think about how much you're charging for things, think about where your clients are. Social media is just a way to stay in contact with people. Remind them who you are and what you're good at, and then let them know how they can work with you. And so I have clients that are on social media and I help them with their messaging to be sharper. They got on podcasts. One of my clients, she got on a podcast. She landed 2 additional podcasts. She landed a Fortune 500 speaking gig. She's landed a client, not that one podcast, but like over a few months. Once you have your messaging clear and you're talking to the right people, some of them are corporate, some of them are business owners who your clients are, right? So she was doing like employee engagement. Mm-hmm. So the Fortune 500 speaking gig, a client is, I think that was a work-life balance client. She's a coach also. So once you know who you're talking to, you can sell them.
Wow.
But I think it really, if you have more followers, obviously equals larger pool of people. You could sell things at a different amount. You could sell lower price items to more people. Mm-hmm. If you have a smaller following, you're probably selling higher ticket items. You know what I mean?
Like one-on-ones.
Yeah. Like I don't have a huge following. So the things I have are like medium ticket, high ticket, whatever.
Yeah,
medium
yeah.
ticket and high ticket. Because what I teach people is transformational for their business, but I don't really sell like, $30 this and that.
Right. But people do that if they have like huge followings
Yeah.
because it's a bulk
Yeah.
order.
Yeah, exactly. If you have 1 million followers and you're selling things for $30.
Well, there's this Melissa Wood, right? I think a lot of people work out with her.
Right.
I think she charges like $10 a month.
Exactly.
She has more than 1 million followers,
Right.
and it really adds up.
Right. So if you have 1 million followers, and even if you're only converting of those 1 million followers, 50,000 people, but they're each paying you $100 a year, 50,000
Wow.
times 100.
That's a lot of
$5 million?
Wow.
$500,000? I'm not so
Wow.
good at this either, but you know what I mean.
I think it's the
I think it's $5 million.
Wow.
I think she's making $5 million.
Oh my God.
I was like, that seems like too much, but it is. So, when you think about that,
yeah,
right.
got it.
But if you have 5,000 followers and your programs are $10,000
Right.
and you convert 10 of them, $100,000. So it's like, you also have to realize it's not like they're click to buy in your chat. I just mean you're connecting with them through social media. They're getting to learn about you through social media. Basically, I have like the clients who have found me, very few of them are people I've met in person. Over the past year, like most of the clients that I've had, I haven't necessarily met in person. They found me through a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast, or they found me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or they found me through my blog.
But the other thing is that like social media is a full-time job in and of itself. We know that there are social media, people that's their whole job. Yeah. So if you are looking for someone who is, quality at what they're doing, they may or may not have a larger following, but it doesn't necessarily matter. I love hearing that you have clients who are making so much money from like, I don't know, the 500 follower pool. It's amazing.
And one thing, it's also like, don't forget all of the things you've done over the past 5 to 20 years of your career. They don't go away. So I think people are like, oh, I'm on Instagram and I only have like 100 followers. But many more people than that in real life. So you're doing a mix of like real life networking, online networking, and something.
LinkedIn.
Look, those hives are coming out again.
I'm sort of curious about it. I guess that's why I keep mentioning it. I hear great things about LinkedIn.
I think it's like if the people you want to work with are there.
Yeah.
Oh, you said something about you said something that I just wanted to respond to about selling on Instagram. Now I'm forgetting. I forgot. But
Instagram of
I just think like it's important to remember it's all cumulative, and like all the great things you've done in your past, they don't go away, even if you don't have a huge following. Oh, and I'm a big advocate. I think a lot of people are like, I'll just hire a social media manager.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree with that. You are the chief marketing officer of your brand. So even if you're not literally making the post, like maybe you hire someone to build your visual content, you are the chief marketing officer. And so I don't recommend outsourcing your social media management without building your own like brand identity, your own messaging, your pitch, all of that stuff. Like I work with my clients to do that. And the most successful ones do have a social media manager, but they work with me to get their brand together because they have social media managers, but they're not necessarily like seeing a huge boost in their business.
I know. I mean, I've worked with social media managers. I guess it was 2 now. And assistants actually. And it doesn't really matter even if the quality of the videos are great, which I think everything I put out, I stand behind. Yeah. But if it's not cohesive and you don't know who you are, what you're quote unquote selling, even if you're not selling a brand, if you don't know who your ideal, audience or client is, no one can help you before you help yourself.
Totally. And I value the work of a social media manager. I think they do good work, but you are always your chief marketing officer because it's your brand. And I also think you have to understand like what's special about you and how to connect your personal to your business. So like one thing, for example, like I don't do a lot of like parenting. Like I don't talk about like how to parent, but me being a mom and being an entrepreneur is like a big part of my identity. So that's something I post about, even though it's not like, parenting content, it's like working mom content. And so, I think when you're like, who do I want to be online? It's like, you have to sit down and really craft that. You have to think about it strategically and holistically before you just say, okay, I don't like to do this. Maybe it's time consuming. Maybe it feels yucky. I don't want to spend hours online.
For real.
You still need to build your personal brand and your personal identity online, understanding it, even if you're going to hire out to do it. So I've had some of my clients that have really seen incredible success online. They have maybe a social media manager helping them because it's time consuming, but they oversee that person and they're very hands-on with it. And they supplement by showing up on camera, even like not always the person's making it, like, for example, showing up just on Instagram stories raw, just like being like, it's the morning, how are you preparing for your day, connecting with your audience more.
Yeah.
And your social media manager can't do that. You need to do that.
Yeah, I know.
You need to do that.
Yeah. The other thing is that like followers don't necessarily equal money.
Right.
And like if you're not, making a salary, if you're not making enough to have your life change or be supported, it doesn't matter how many people are following you. It doesn't matter how pretty your videos are.
Yeah. Totally.
If you're not living your life the way you want to live it. Totally.
And I think also like people feel so ugh about social media that I go back and remind them like, remember why you're doing this. It's some people can feel really down. I posted something and I get a lot of engagement. I'm like, this is a business goal. We're not getting our self-worth from social media. And like, we have to remember that we're grown-ups. We're using social media for our business. And it's hard to separate that because you have to put thought, put energy, put time into making it, which means you're investing. But then you have to separate yourself and not care. That's really hard.
I mean, that's literally everything though.
That's hard for everything. Right.
Yeah.
You have to put your heart and soul into projects. And then if you don't get it or it doesn't do well or whatever, you have to be like, that's okay. At least I tried. It's very hard to do that.
It's very hard, but it's the
important.
work. Yeah.
It's important. It's important to say, like, I mean, honestly, like I'm not even good at practicing what I preach. If I get like one bit of negative, not even feedback, like one small thing will happen all day. I'm like, oh, like, I don't know. It's probably this year is going to be bad.
No.
And like, that's so out of proportion.
But social media is like, it's
not even on social media, in life.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in life, like, it'll just like some small thing that will be negative will happen in my business. And I'm like, it's going to be a bad 2024.
No, I don't want to hear that at all.
But I'm just
erase.
Right, but it's hard. I think we all have that.
No, we all have that. But I love the reminder, and I'll repeat it, which is like, we are adults, and that whatever you're putting out there, if it's LinkedIn, Hives or not, if it's Instagram, if it's your blog, if it's YouTube, if it's at a networking event, you're not doing it to be liked. You have a goal in mind. You want to pick up your kids twice a week. And you want to have an impact or ownership. I think that those values driving your behavior makes a huge difference in how you do receive. And if you don't have a friend to reflect that back to you, like, hey, Kim, like, people aren't going to like you, and that's okay. You get to pick up your kids twice a week, and you get to live your values. It can really sort of strengthen your resolve.
And now you do have a friend because you have Kim. And one of the things that I think so many of my students and clients struggle with, that I struggled with, is that very first time, and you're an actor, so you're not uncomfortable being on camera, but the majority of people, what is it, public speaking, people are more afraid to publicly speak than die. Like, public speaking it's a bigger fear than death. But
wow, that's so weird to me.
It's so weird to you, especially.
I know, but I actually am like acutely aware of that because everyone always says that to me because I do public speaking quite a lot.
I work with I work with all these students and clients, and like 75%, maybe, about 75% of people, I have them rate them 1 to 10. How confident are you on camera before they work with me? Just so I know where they're at. And it really ends up being that sort of thing. Like, even if you don't love being on camera, we step through like, why, like, what are you afraid of? Where's the discomfort coming from? Like, for me, it was the fear of judgment. I was like, oh, I was this media executive and now I'm going to look like this performative, desperate narcissist on social media.
You don't. You absolutely do not.
That's just, you're so nice. But I did feel that way at first. And then I just said to myself, okay, well, if those people are thinking that, good for them because they collect a salary. And it doesn't matter. and I have to think about the people I'm helping. I have to focus on who I'm helping. And one thing I teach my students is get out of supermodel mode and get into teacher mode. So when supermodel mode, we're thinking about our lipstick and our hair and our clothing, but you have to be in teacher mode and just really think about who you're helping and your message. That really helped me. That helps a lot of my students because you're not in your own head of like my voice, my skin, my weight, my this. And it really just helps you realize like, I'm here because I want to help people. No matter what you do, you're here because you like it. There's lots of things you could do. And so I think that's kind of been a thing about, we're grown-ups. So like, let's push through that because we all feel that. But you're doing it for your business. You're doing it for whatever your reason is, whether you want to be home with your kids more, whether you want to travel more, maybe you just don't like authority and you just don't want a boss. But so remember, like, if I do this consistently over time, it will pay off, but you have to break through that discomfort at first.
I can attest to that because I used to work with like a business for actors coach, and she would have me go to a networking event once a month, send out an e-zine, she would call it, like a newsletter once a month. Like a bunch of like a checklist, like a blueprint of what to do. And it was a slog, but that's how I built my career. That's how I got my first agent, my first manager, my first New York Times review. Like it really does pay off. And it's like, we all have to do hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work to live a life that you're proud of.
And I think one of the things, I feel like so much of the things I'm trying to instill in my kids, I'm then applying to myself for my business and to my students is like, if it's hard, it means your brain is growing. I have that on my kids' wall. And I think about that for myself and for my students. Every year I push myself in an area that's really hard for me for business. Last year was the finances. Got to get control of them.
Gotta get control of them. I know. You were telling me that you listened to the Kate Northrup episode. She's Relaxed Money. It's a great course.
I got a financial coach last year. This year I'm working on sales, being better at sales. There's a couple different things, but these are hard for me. They're uncomfortable for me. And so everybody you have to push yourself a little bit or else you're not growing. And so when people say, oh, like it's hard to be on camera, I'm like, of course it is. You're not a broadcast journalist. Of course it's hard to be on camera. And so I think it's just the idea of like being uncomfortable isn't bad. It actually means you're growing and just accepting that.
I love that. And I love to hear your growth story. I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
And I'm really grateful for you taking the time today to be with us.
This is so fun.
I can't believe we just did a session on air. I'm like a little bit embarrassed, but also I think it was really helpful. So thank you.
I'm also kind of sorry that I put you on the spot.
Oh my God, don't be sorry. Okay. I asked you to.
We'll do it later in a Google Doc and we'll lock it in.
A Google Doc?
You know that thing on your computer, a Google Doc?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great 2 weeks. I hope you enjoy all those notes and follow up with Kim Rittberg. Where do we find you?
I'm at Instagram, LinkedIn, at Kim Rittberg, KimRittberg. And I have a free download, 10 tips to make amazing video to make you money and how to shine on camera. So those are free downloads, FREE free. But it's kimrittberg.com. And this was really, really fun. And my podcast is called The Exit Interview.
It's great.
With Kim Rittberg.
So great. It's so great.
Exit the grind, enter success on your own terms.
Thank you, as always, for listening to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniela Rabbani. I am your host, and I would love to continue this conversation at Daniela Rabbani on Instagram. And if you'd be so kind to rate and review, share this podcast, I would be just really grateful. Catch you next time, every Tuesday on the Mom Curious podcast, produced by Hoff Studios. You can find them at Hoff Studios on Instagram as well. All right, have a great day.